So we're here today to present a tool to you, but you know, whenever you're doing live demos, you have to sacrifice a goat to the demo gods. So we're going to do the best we can to show you a few pathways through this tool, which we're calling Draugnet. It was originally called Abracadabra because it was around Christmas time and we were trying to meet the submission deadline, and then Alex said that's a dumb name. So we rebranded it. Call it Draugnet. That's
yeah.
what it is.
Whatever.
Dead simple reporting for complex times. See if the clicker works. So the pain point we're trying to solve is basically that a lot of breaches go unreported, sometimes because of fear and sometimes because of bureaucracy. There are a lot more mandates coming for reporting, and so we thought we're not trying to sort of get rid of formal paths, but there might be some space for an informal, low-friction reporting path. So we thought we'd try to make a tool. And so this is a tool that we've made. This is the most simple introduction to the tool. We'll get to the demo in a moment. But privacy by design. So you submit something, a MISP object, you get back a token. It's not logging, there's no authentication. It's meant to be low friction.
Yeah, so maybe you can ask yourself why we worked on this, and with Trey, with Andras, with all the team, we were discussing about cases that we had at MISP, at the CIRCL, at different CERT, and so on. And one of the most common things was like the difficulty of reporting, and maybe we have to blame ourselves because, for example, people say, yeah, but we have to connect to MISP, create registrations, an account, and so on. And even some organizations or even some authority would like to report, but they don't have the time or at least the capacity to do it. Just an example, for example, prosecutors, it happens in some cases where we have technical investigation done by the police, and they would like to share this kind of information, so indicators and so on, and they want to do it like in one shot, and they don't care about it. And I think that was really one of the things that design methodology that we have for the tools, it should be super, super easy. And I think the subtitle that you have on the slide deck is like one of the most important aspects. It works for a lot of things in another use case. For example, you have certain analysts that might be working on specific use case that want to actually share that information, and they don't have, for example, the capacity to work in a specific incident for diplomatic reason, technical reason, and so on, and they can actually use a tool to share what they have did for the analysis. Same for different things. For example, in some SOC operation center, like in the healthcare and so on, they don't have the capabilities or they don't want to invest time into connecting to a sharing communities and so on, and they just want to drop things that they detected and let others to work on the cases. Same for independent researchers. I mean, many of us, for example, discover, I don't know, an open directory, vulnerable software, and we just want to drop the discovery and just we forget about it. That's one way to do it. But sometimes, as a researcher, you want to get feedback too, but the tool allows the feedback.
Oh, yes.
Which is super important there. And another thing that is important too is sometimes you have regulators, and sorry, Inisa is in the room, but sometimes you have regulations, and regulation can be complex. And so, for example, Inisa do all the steps to make it like easy for everyone, but it's still complex sometimes for doing reporting. And sometimes you just want to have a system that, okay, in addition to the reporting, the regulatory reporting, the official reporting that you do in NIS2, you just want to have an easy way to drop the indicators and reference it back into that notification. And that, I think, is something that is important. The tool can be a complement to notifications, to basically add, for example, technical report and things like that. And I was mentioning the public prosecutors, but you have plenty of use case. If you want to compare to another tools, Global Leaks is a similar tool used for journalists and so on, which make a lot of sense. Here we're really focusing on the cybersecurity threat intelligence.
Like trying to create a new category between sit on your hands and say nothing, or completely expose yourself to, sometimes in some organizations and sometimes no good deed goes unpunished. So we're trying to just create a middle path. So when we say anonymous to authority, this is not meant to be, subversive, but more to say, if I am a reporting authority and I choose to create for some constituency a portal of this nature, an API endpoint of this nature, then by design, I am asking for anonymized submissions, right? So when I say anonymous to authority, that means it's a design principle. Trust group coordination. So if you So if you're a national cybersecurity agency, you probably have a list of friends and family, people sort of that you could call on in a surge capacity if your nation was under attack or something. So, you could just provide this portal to these folks, and you can use a UI, you can use just a curl command. It's dead simple to report information or update or existing report. And so like this, you can have the full stack of MISP behind you. The things go into MISP. You can do all of the enrichments and all the analysis, and even if I report, I can see some of the upstream analysis and have a sort of dialogue on this one report while still remaining anonymized.
Yeah. So we had some design by default, and when we did the implementation, we actually designed from scratch the software, which was, I think, important. So when Trey came with some idea which were very good about the privacy by design, we were looking at, okay, maybe we should drop some of the idea that we have previously where you need registration and so on. So we have gone for something very simple so that anyone can actually connect, use the systems. We don't do any logs. If you operate one of the instances, you can log if you have, like, for example, legal obligations to do so, but you are not obliged to do that. Another thing, too, is sometimes UI, if you have to structure information and to model the information, it's quite complex. So you need to decide, okay, which kind of object I have to use, which kind of information, which kind of attribute type I have to set, and so on. So we wanted to have really a zero frictions UI where people can just cut and paste an email, for example, just raw text, and then edit it automatically, and without logging, actually. Another thing that is interesting, too, is not only a one-way function, it's actually a one-way system. It's not a one-way system, it's a bidirectional system. So because you get a token. So when you submit the data to the systems, you actually get a token, and you even get back the structure information that has been interpreted into MISP. So that means automatically you get the structure information. And that's the nice thing of the systems is actually you basically can even communicate back to the reporter even without disclosing what the reporter is really doing. The system itself is very simple and is independent from everything. It's composed of two parts. You have basically a UI part, which is just a JavaScript with the HTML interface and so on, the web interface.
That you could put on a USB stick. It's portable.
Exactly, yeah. So that's quite cool. And then in the backend, you have a very minimal backend, and this minimal backend is actually connecting to an existing MISP instance. It's using very simple technology. So basically, we have a Redis. You can run whatever Redis type and so on the backend, depending on the number of submissions you will get. And then, again, you have an open API for it. So you were mentioning that you can use any tool to submit, and that's pretty straightforward. Obviously, it's open source. That's, I think, for us.
GPL.
Yeah, AGPL, so you can basically use it, reuse it, run your system, modify it. We just
Pull request, welcome. We'll get to that later.
Yeah, and we just released a version 1 today. So it's really easy, and there's no difficulty of deployment. So no need to run a Docker files or Kubernetes, whatever.
Oh, but there is a Docker. So if you want the full stack, there's a Docker available today.
Yeah, to make the Docker fans happy.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and so the thing that is important too is it's really API first. So that means you have a very easy API to use, and you can build things around. So if you want to make a better user interface, you can do it. So that's really the design principle behind the system.
So now I'm going to try to demo. So
that's time to...
this is, say a prayer for me.
You might kill a chicken or...
Great, so, see here. So I'm going to go home. Oh, no. See, I knew there's a problem. Just a second. Would I like to connect to my endpoint? Yes, I would. There we go. Boom. All right. So, So this is interesting. I'm going to try one more time, and then I'm going to go to screenshots.
So in the meantime, we might talk about jellyfish. So you
jellyfish.
See that, yeah. So because on the background you have jellyfish. So
there we go. All right. So there we go.
No, you have a double.
Oh, I see. Oh, whoops.
That's why I was.
I gotta. Yeah. So I gotta go back over here. This is. Excuse me. We didn't practice this part enough, obviously.
No, it's a relaxing time. You have
jellyfish.
The ocean, the sea, and
they're
so on.
so chill, you know. Distributed nervous system and all that. You know what? I can't. I got to mirror my screen if I'm going to do this because I can't click down there. Just a second. See the Mac user not do it with the command line. Display mirror. Mirror.
We welcome new people, seeing the jellyfish.
Come on.
Great.
How do I do this? All right, there it is. Mirror. Thank you. All right, so
Too late. So
I could probably do this.
take
now.
a picture
All right,
of it.
so demo time. Back to the web browser. So I'll make this big. So this is a demo instance. There is actually a CIRCL one that we'll give you a link to later. You got an official one, right? But I'm just going to go here, make a new report. You know, delete all this. Go away. Yes. Ooh, I didn't mean that. Not download, purge. So report via object. I'm going to say I got a vulnerability. All right. So
So you basically have three interfaces. Trey just select the most complex one if you actually know what or you want to.
Well, I have a demo flow, so just a second. The internet
for the
is on
structure
fire.
information. So you basically actually select an object template. So like that, the information is already structured if you want.
So we don't have infinite time. There's docs, and we need to have more docs. But you see where there's a little orange dot? The orange dot means one of those fields must be filled out. You can't just submit something empty here. If it had a red dot, that means it's mandatory. But this should be enough. So I'll submit this. Boom, come on. There. So now I have a token. I can go look at this token, and I can see the report kind of pulled out there.
So maybe you can explain what is happening.
So what's happening behind the scenes is that it's creating a new event in the connected MISP, which is anonymized. And I forget what the tags look like. We can go look at that slide in a second. But basically then your analysts can go and perform triage. They can select stuff that they think needs follow-up and then start to have sort of a dialogue with the submitter. We're not going to get through all that on the demo. But I can show you, you can do a report via free text. So I don't want to risk it, but I could probably just go throw the APT1 report in there and it would work just fine. What I am going to do for the demo, though, is go back to my object. I'm going to export I want to grab my raw JSON. I'll just do this. Unless you want to trust me, because otherwise you're going to watch me do VI. We can watch me do VI. Whoops, don't want that, don't want that. UUID. Gotta just do this. Okay, boom. Watch me suck at VI. So now I'm gonna submit this via curl. You can use wget, you can use Python, whatever. Oh no! See, this is what happens.
Yeah, because you get an place and you forget the.
Yeah, so I'll use the other one. All right, so there, I got a token back. That's the one I was demoing with before. Yeah. So if I go with that token, I could share that with somebody on my team. Let's say that is a group of researchers, or we're working with partner companies, or I don't know, something. You could share that, put it in a Jira ticket or something, and then somebody could come back to it. Is the point? So now if I go.
So maybe something important to explain and to show on the interface. If you go on the top right there, like what he will do right now.
That's the CIRCL one. I need the other one there. So I'm going to add a token, and then just add. Now I can click it. We need to make it look prettier and put timestamps and names maybe by it. But so that's the one I ingested via curl.
So something to explain about the token, and I think this one is super important. The tokens never leave your computers. And those
local browser store.
Yeah, it's still in the browser, is in the web store. So that means this token is basically your unique identifications of the report that you did. So that means if you have your interface, you can just paste the token, reload it. This one, it will go to the backend. And the unique identifications that is between the token and the event in MISP is actually on the Draugnet server. So that means even the MISP instance doesn't know about this token. And that's one way of, in fact, to exchange information between back and forth with the reporter and an authority and so on, without actually disclosing any information about yourself. And that's really the idea behind. The thing is quite nice because you can benefit from all the features from MISP. There is a nice green interface on the top right there. You can actually download the data in the different format. You have, for example,
STIX, or
you can export in CIRCL, for example, directly the format. So it's very easy to use. So it's V1 of the interface. We might improve it in the futures. But you see, for the entry time or the entry complexity for an end user, it's like, okay, as long as they can drop text, they can do it, and they can share information. So really the thing that we want to do there is to have like more people contributing to some sharing communities, because the entry cost is too high, but there it's like lowering the cost to entry such kind of sharing communities. And
it's to the point that you could go like, if you find an interesting report online, select all, copy, paste, pipe to this shell alias, and you don't even have to think about the command. Boom, done. So exactly. Should we go back to our deck?
Yep.
Hang on, let's see if I can do this now. Present from current slide. All right, so we survived it. Ooh, no, I don't want to give subtitles a try.
We have actually some screenshot in the slide deck
so
in case that the demo was not working, so like that you...
So we survived. Oh, this is what it looks like in MISP.
Yeah, this one is like, for example, in submissions in MISP will appear like this, depending on the kind of submission you do, obviously. And then you have even a report, which is the original submission from the free text.
And so this works with pretty much all the objects in the MISP library. So if if we talk about vulnerabilities, you could just as easily use it for any of the other ones. So you saw a student anonymous report without creating an account. We didn't show you it landing in MISP, but trust us, that's what happened. You can see in your own MISP. Here is the one to take a picture of. This is where you can go and get the code.
Yeah, so just in the GitHub repository, you have two repositories. One is the UI, so the UI is basic JavaScript, HTML, and then you have the backend system that you can run. If you're interested, you have an online version that is drougnet.circle.lu, so you can actually, if you want to share something, just drop it. Obviously, it will end up into one of our MISP, and then an analyst will review it. So it won't be distributed to a global network of people there. For the one that really like Docker, there's even a Docker image available. But really the idea, if you have an idea of extending the system for contribution and so on, we have some plan there on CVD process, for example, coordinated vulnerability disclosures. It's a way to actually share information from security reporters that find the vulnerabilities.
So this left is an exercise for the reader, but in principle, there's no reason why you couldn't set up your API gateway running under, say, Intel SGX processor extensions for confidential compute, where then you could say as a public authority with some credibility, we've set it up so if you report to us through this portal, even we can't figure out who you are. If you want to, nobody's making you. So here's some examples. We did the curl one. I actually need to probably double check that these all work properly, but they were working. So we'll make sure that the docs get updated to reflect this. But the point is, and Alex, I see this is your slide. Sorry, go.
Yeah, no worries. So actually, you can use any tools you want to do the submission, and it obviously is not advanced SOAP or things like that. You just have a single post, and you can basically post. The demo that you did with the JSON is one of these examples. You just take an existing object, and you can even post it, and it works with any. So it's just some cool example, and you can interface it with other tools. So there's no login required, and that's really straightforward.
Don't lose your token. You can go and update a thing with the token. You can't delete it. So, but you can have a conversation. Here's a system architecture. We didn't just get drunk and design this. We did try to do a decent job. It's not perfect, but come help us make it better.
Yeah, just maybe one thing for the technical aspects. For the one that never use the MISP API and so on, this one is a good example of how to use the MISP API. So you can even use that tools to a starting point to do other services.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, so
that's brilliant. So,
and we were wondering last time to maybe have one running on Tor, so one that doesn't want to disclose their IP addresses and so on, you can even run as a Tor hidden services, having the interface available.
Exactly. Keep it simple is a good design principle. So what's next? Your feature requests.
Yeah, so obviously we have plenty of plugins in MISP, and we wanted to have the automatic enrichment, so like that you can benefit from the enrichment anonymously. Which is, I think, quite pretty cool. We were discussing about, and I was mentioning that about the CVD process, that maybe you want to disclose information with specific GNA and use this as a publication mechanism for vulnerabilities. That's something that we are currently testing. Encrypted payloads, that's if you, for example, want to disclose some information in different way, the interface can be used to send encrypted payload too. So that means you can even have like two kind of receivers, so it's very, very open. And you were talking about translations too?
Right, but it would be useful to go ahead and get the front end translated into the majority working languages. So even if you're not a coder, this being an international group, if you look at it and you say, by God, I could translate that UI into insert language here, please let us know.
Yeah, maybe the first translation will be Danish.
Maybe. That'd be great. It'd be better than Esperanto. So now, we'd like to do Q&A, but this is a TLP clear presentation. But we've arranged with the organization that from now, it's not going to be put on YouTube. So up until now, it's TLP clear. When it goes on YouTube, from now, we're going to cut this. So if you want to have Q&A, it's still TLP unclear, but you can ask a question and know that it's not going to go online.
Yeah, so don't be shy if you have any questions, idea. I mean, it's a first try.